Hey y'all, it's Cammie, a super fly girl from a little big world, also known as the 919. I know you're wondering, Cammie, what are we talking about? And just how did we get here? Well, let me tell you. Pen and Paper Podcast is bringing you all the feels of a little bit of everything for a whole lot of somebodies, just like you. I'm bringing to you real conversations, transparency, and a whole lot of love. This is for my dreamers, believers, and for sure, my debaters. So let's dive in together as we touch on topics of family, friendships, relationships, both inward and out, come on, love, music, beauty, and did I mention finances? Oh yeah, we're taking it there. Pen and Paper Podcast is what I like to call your one podcast fits all. Yes. And I can't wait to explore with all of my ladies and my fellas to get just the right perspective and a whole lot of laughs, of course. So sit back, relax, and let's put this pen to the paper, y'all.
Y'all, we are back for another episode, and I am so excited. And I feel like I say this all the time, y'all, but this episode is a little different. It's a little different, and I have some special women with me, y'all. And I just want to get into it. I want to get into it, and I want to start introducing them, y'all. And those that are listening, you know, you're like, okay, to my left. But to my left, I have with me Miss Jennifer Abreu. Yes, Jen. I've known Jennifer since elementary school, and literally, y'all, we've been rocking ever since. Distance, no distance, we've been rocking. Miss Jennifer Abreu is a makeup artist. She can be found at the Jenny's Touch on Instagram. She is also a wax specialist and a skincare enthusiast. She is a woman of faith, and most importantly, whether near or far, y'all, she's a real friend. She's a real friend. Period. All right, next I have Miss Alexis Thurston. Yes, Miss Alexis. Yes, she is one of my first college friends. I'm from the Winston-Salem State University, okay? She is a woman of faith. She's also super hardworking and very loving. She continues to serve in the community as well as she does mission work, and she is spreading her knowledge and leadership everywhere she goes. I'm super excited to have her on here because I know she's going to give you the real and transparency, y'all.
Yes, y'all.
Period.
Honesty.
Period. Next, I have Miss Kelsey Douglas. Hey. Miss Kelsey is also a woman of faith. I met her at Winston-Salem State as well. We were roommates, and we've been connected ever since. She is an entrepreneur. She's a herbalist and a content creator. She is the owner of Naturally Sold, which can be found on Instagram as well as YouTube.
Yes, girl. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And last but certainly not least, I have my sister, Miss Charisma Wilson.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. All right, Miss Charisma, also known as Miss Bougie as well, is a woman of many trades. She is a MUA and a content creator here in North Carolina, and she can be found at Beats by Bougie on Instagram.
Yes, ma'am.
And Vibing with Bougie on TikTok.
Yes.
All right, y'all. So we're just going to get started. I like to start off always, y'all, with a little quote to kind of lead us into, you know, what we're talking about. So this quote, I kind of want to quote this from Miss Jasmine Sullivan. She says, new phone, who this? New phone, who this? New phone, who is this? New phone, who is this? So what is your relationship status? I mean, we all don't have to speak at once, but Kelsey, let's start with you, girl. What's your relationship status?
Well, hey, everyone. My name is Kelsey, and my relationship status is a little complicated. I'm in a situationship.
Okay. It happens. Miss Jennifer, you were cheesing over there, so I would like to assume, you know, your little tuk-tuk.
Yes, I'm happily taken.
Yes, we love that.
Yes, I have a man that is my boyfriend, just waiting for a ring on this finger.
Okay.
Period.
Because it's been some time, baby.
Yeah, period. pay attention if you heard him. Miss Thurston, what is your relationship status?
Yes, I am Alexis, and my relationship status is I'm currently dating.
Period.
I am.
That just makes me happy. I'm sorry. I get excited. Okay, Miss Charisma, what's your relationship
Okay,
status?
y'all, I'm Charisma. My relationship status, I'm single, is very much so. Yeah, I'm single and I'm actually not looking. I don't want a relationship right now. I feel like it's this time in my life I need to heal from past hurt and past relationships before I move on with anything else. So yeah, I'm single.
That and so I guess y'all went on me, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I am single, but I am dating. Getting a feel for what I want. But dear husband, come get me. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. Whole. And yeah, single already. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. Y'all, let's just say the real. Why do or have you entertained guys that you know were not worth your time? Let's get real. Yeah.
Let's be honest. So have I entertained guys that were not worth my time? Yes. Why? Honestly, for the wrong reasons. I mean, when I think about it, I think about like maybe to have somebody to spend time with, just to have somebody there to enjoy the company. And I know I know I wasn't supposed to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know I wasn't supposed to be entertaining their time. And once again, I mean, if we can be honest, I mean, biblically speaking, I was just trying to please my flesh. If we can be honest. So that's probably why I have entertained guys that certainly has not been worth the time. And yeah. Look, we don't need to, but we have though.
It happens. It happens. So Kelsey, could you give us your perspective? Like, why have you entertained guys that you knew weren't worth your time, whether in a relationship or not? Like, we've all done it. So why did you do it?
Yes, just definitely someone to talk to, especially during quarantine. We were all locked down, so I know, we were getting kind of bored in the house, stuck in the house. So, you want somebody to talk to, somebody to wake up, text, talk on the phone, FaceTime, just someone to be there.
Yeah, that's facts. Jennifer, what about you? Like, how do you feel about, the whole situation? Because Alexis has said, she, from a biblical standpoint, she was kind of doing the opposite. She was kind of pleasing her flesh. Kelsey comes from a, pandemic, like, I'm bored, so why not? So why did you do it?
I mean, I'll piggyback off of them because same. Like, I knew that I shouldn't have been messing with certain individuals.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to, had this mindset, I'm going to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it, regardless. I want someone to entertain me. I want to entertain someone. I think it was just, trying to fill this void of loneliness that I wasn't able to get from, regular friendships with, say, with friends or with my sisters or anything like that. We like male attention as women. Let's be real.
Period.
So, I'll just,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Because I've asked y'all, but I think sometimes, especially now, I feel like I won't say that every guy entertained was just because. But, I think most of the time, and guys do the same thing. I think sometimes to hear women say it, it's kind of like a hard pill to swallow. I can't believe you just said that you entertained a guy that you really didn't have any interest in, but it happens. Right. And we've all done it. It's kind of like, okay, I know he has no benefit. I know he's not good for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because I don't have anything else to do, and it's kind of just the reality of it all. So, it happens. So, I want to get to the fact, how do you define your self-worth? Because if you know that you're not supposed to be talking to someone, ladies, how do you define, and anybody can speak, how do you define your self-worth?
I know, sometimes, you know what you're worth and you know what you deserve, but it's really easy to, fall for things that you probably shouldn't, or fall for people that you probably shouldn't, you know? Me personally, I tend to fall for guys that I know, not that I don't have interest in, but don't meet my not level, but
your standards.
Don't meet my standards for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kelsey, you look like you got something to say about that. So how do you define your self-worth, even with entertaining guys that you know are not worth your time?
I think just self-care really keeps me grounded in who I really am. So just saying my affirmations in the morning, making sure I'm drinking my water, etc., and really just putting myself first before any guy that I feel like entertaining or talking to at that moment.
Right. And would you say you do that to kind of like separate or kind of stop yourself from getting kind of caught up in it? You know what I'm saying? Because if you know your self-worth, you can talk to these guys and there's literally no attachment. You feel me?
And you could get in deep.
Yeah, that's real.
So, yeah, that's how I really feel.
What about you, Alexis? How do you define your self-worth?
Okay, well, y'all know where I'm gonna come from.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
Speaking.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, I do believe, I think this goes back to like our identity and who we believe we are. So even in those moments where I may have entertained guys that I wasn't supposed to, my identity was maybe wrapped up in the loneliness or what somebody can provide. And it wasn't my identity was not in Christ, but now where I am, I certainly, my identity is found in Christ.
Absolutely.
And so I have to look at myself through the lens of Christ. Mm-hmm. So, it's not just, let me do, and when I say self-worth, I don't know, the self part is kind of getting me because I have to take my eyes off of myself.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So I have to say, who am I in Christ and who has Christ called me to be? Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I'm like, okay, Lord, let's not settle. Let's look at the standards of the word. And that's just where I come from personally speaking. But let's look at the standards of the word. If we know, let's go back to being unequally yoked. Let's go back to how we set in our standards there. If we don't believe the same, foundation where we at, even our foundation is not even in the same place, then I know I don't need to be spending time with you. Yeah. So I will say that's probably that's where I come from when it comes from self-worth. Like, where do you find your identity? Yeah. And because when you know like where your identity comes from, and me speaking, it comes from Christ, and my identity is in Christ. So now I know how to properly date. Absolutely. Now I know how to properly look at somebody. And even when my flesh may come up and be like, well, I just want somebody to spend time with. Honey, no, we're going to have to knock that out. We ain't got time for that. So,
right.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So Jennifer, how have you defined your self-worth, even in the midst of entertaining guys in the dating process? How do you define your self-worth?
I would say like before I got saved, I felt like my identity and my self-worth was wrapped around like what I could provide physically. Like my image was my identity to me. That was how I defined my self-worth. Wow. But once I realized that I'm made in the image of God, my whole entire perspective changed as to when it came to like my identity. And what Alexis was saying is that, if we're rooted in Christ and we know our identity and that what he gives us and who he's made us to be from the beginning, from before we were in our mother's belly, he knew exactly who we were and who the gifts and the things that he's put in us to be. Like, once we figure that out, everything else starts to like align properly, and who we entertain, falls into that. So yeah, I'll just say that my self-worth is now in Christ, and he's great.
Absolutely. and the thing about it is, y'all, I think for me, and I think I mentioned this on the last episode, I was just saying, like, I've recently, like, I'm like, who am I? You know what I mean? And I literally, this whole past year of the pandemic and everything happening, like, I've had so much time to, like, set aside my phone, set aside every distraction possible. And, being a single woman, like, I'm like, okay, like, Cammie, who are you? You know what I'm saying? And the best way to do that is by simply, like, writing, and that's the whole reason behind Pen and Paper Podcast, writing down the vision and making it plain as possible to God, right? So when it comes to like wanting people and like wanting relationships and things like that, it's like, what do I want and what can I give to a person, right? Mm-hmm. So like for me, I'm always like writing down things in terms of like, what and who can I be, right? So I'm like, okay, even if I don't physically see something right now, if you simply write that vision, you can become that woman. You know what I'm saying? You can become those things. And I think sometimes a lot of things are wrapped in like materialistic things. So we think like, okay, if I don't have this money, then I can't be the woman that I want to be. Or if I don't have this man, then that means like I'm not whole. But be whole by yourself first. And so that, you know, when the entertaining thing kind of happens, you can see the clowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know the clowns. So in the case that you are single and you're kind of like wanting to set standards when you're dating, do you feel like you set standards, or you kind of just let things flow naturally? Like, how does that work in your world? Go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like letting things flow is not the way to go for me personally. Okay. I feel like I always live by this motto of whatever you allow in that relationship in the beginning, don't expect anything different later. Mm-hmm. It's like you allow that person to do that. Now, whatever you allow now is what you allow forever. Yeah. The standards that you set, because later on the road, they're like, okay, why do you expect that now? You didn't ask for that in the beginning. These weren't your expectations in the beginning. So don't try to say, okay, I need more now. This is what I need. You lay that out in the beginning. So setting standards is vital. Like, you have to do that, because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Let's, Jennifer, anybody. Yeah, talk about it.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this example. Like, say, for example, you just started a job, right? Mm-hmm. And your manager sets these standards for you as an employee. So he's expecting you to behave a certain way, to do certain things in that job relationship. So why wouldn't we do the same thing when it comes to somebody we're entertaining to be like a part of our lives, regardless if it's male or female, or like with a friendship. Like, we should do those things. And like you were saying, like being unequally yoked, like that should be a standard always. Like, hey, like where are you headed in the next 5 years? Like, what do you feel like is your destiny and your purpose and your mandate in life? Like, we should be walking together, not walking separately. So,
yeah.
I have to agree with the ladies.
Yeah.
I have to agree with the ladies. We have to set standards. I do believe in the times that I have let things just flow. It is destruction. It Absolutely. Is no good. It has been like, girl, you knew better than that.
Yeah.
And so even in these, like, once again, like setting standards, I do believe is so important. Like you said, I think that's beautifully put. Like, whatever you allow in the beginning, or whatever you don't allow, however that looks, that's what it's going to continue to be.
Absolutely.
So I think that's so beautifully said. And just let them know, like, I'm open, I'm transparent. I'm like, look, this is what it is, this is what it's not. If you can't provide this, then hey, I love you, but bounce. I mean, that's the type of person I am. I'm just like, look, I'm gonna lay it down, lay it straight for you. So even in those moments, I will, even to answer the question, like, I've always, and not always, of course, those moments where I knew I wasn't supposed to entertain anybody, I kind of let those things flow. But when it comes to, seriously dating, and something my dad has always told all of his children was, you date on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
If you are not dating to be married to this person,
what's the point?
Then what's the point?
Yeah.
And so I truly believe, like, that has always, and when it came to me, like, okay, like, I seriously want to date someone, that has always been my standard. If I know that is not what you want to do, then we just gonna go ahead and cut it off. Like, we can be cool, we can be friends, but as far as like being in a relationship, pursuing each other, like, that's, I think it's just something that's not taken seriously, because so many people let things flow.
Okay.
So it's not taken seriously because we just, we'll go with the flow. I mean, it's whatever. We can just do this, or we can just do that. But when the standards come in, it's just like, yeah, y'all, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, y'all.
Kelsey, so tell us, do you set standards or do you let things flow?
I like to set standards. I feel like standards are very important, but I do feel like, especially in long-term relationships, sometimes your standards can change.
Okay,
or expectations.
that's real.
So at the beginning, I feel like like the basics, stuff like no cheating, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as we go on, it's like, okay, well, I don't like the way you do this, so my expectation for you of doing this is changing as well.
Absolutely.
So I feel like once you grow as a person or continue to grow, because we all should continue to grow, your standards may change as well.
Wow. And I'm glad you said that, because let's just be real. Like, even if you set a standard and be like, I want you to clean, I want you to cook, I want you to take me out on dates, some of those things literally dwindle down, right? Let's just be honest. Like, some things don't stay the same. But I do think when you're strategically picking your partner, you should look and consider the fact, like, okay, if this is how he is now, what are the expectations later down the road? And I think sometimes we see those red flags, but we ignore them. Let's just be honest. We ignore them because we don't want to see people like, look, I'm putting my shades on. I'm going to act like I don't see him. You know what I'm saying? And you ignore it, right? But I think with setting standards, it just helps you in the long run to kind of know how to go about things instead of letting things flow. And I think that comes with age and maturity, y'all. Because if you think about it, when you were younger, what you like before, you were like, look, I want some standards. Right. I just want him, look, as long as he got muscles, I'm good. So y'all, on a very lighter note, my piece of advice would be, I would actually challenge you. I would challenge you to write down your do's and your don'ts. Like, I know I can do this, and I know I can't do that, right? Write down these things so that when you face, different oppositions, well, that was on my list of don'ts, so I can't do it. And, like Charisma said, stand on those things and don't feel like it's too hard. You are not too hard to love, okay? Understand that you are not too hard to love. It's just the right person. So don't think you're too complicated for wanting someone that has standards for themselves, because there are men that have standards. Yeah. And when you do, you'll recognize everything will start aligning for you, and it'll just work out. It'll all work out. So thank y'all for being here, ladies. I love y'all so much. I think this was awesome. Y'all did it. And I'm just excited for the the next season to come.
Y'all, that was not the end of the conversation. To hear more of what we discussed on this episode, be sure to listen and stream this podcast on all podcast platforms. And oh yes, be sure to follow us on Instagram at pinnpaperpodcast. And y'all already know, we are giving a little bit of everything for a whole lot of somebodies, just like you. I'll see y'all on the next episode.